Hey everybody, what's going on? Let's try to do this. It is the Thursday, December 29th, 2016, almost the end of the year. It's been quite a year, hasn't it? So I want to kind of do a best of as best I can because I tend to live in the moment and I do forget a lot. Okay, I do. It goes without saying, though, that this year has been a real challenge to all of us. You know, what with the insane presidential election here in the United States, on top of the continued madness of war and mortality really catching up with our generation, or the golden generation. You know what I'm saying? Post-war, World War II, the golden years. People are dying, you know. And one of the catchphrases that's being used in social media is 2016 really sucks, can't wait for it to end. But if you think more realistically, 2017 will be a continuation because we're moving in that direction. We're getting older, we're dying. We just lost Carrie Fisher. Of course I have Star Wars, yeah. And a day later, we just found out her mom, Debbie Reynolds, dies. I have this. I mean, who doesn't have this or something related to Star Wars? I mean, you know, one of those things that affected the world. Very happy to say that in 2001 I got to meet Carrie Fisher. I only have one of two pictures that were taken of us. I wish I had the other one. It belongs to the agency that I used to work at. But I posted the one picture of us on my Facebook page. The other one I wish I had a copy of because we're at dinner. And she and I got along really well because she's a street, you know, drug head and knows, you know, and recognized, you know, we just recognize each other. There's a picture of her with her head on my shoulder at the dinner table. I really would like a copy of that picture. But the other picture of us standing together at an event is on my Facebook page. So the passing of important, iconic figures of entertainment and art and music has been big on the plate this year. You know, I'll mix this up, okay? Because I'm going to tell you what I think are my records of the year. There are a lot of records of the year that people will say, well, you didn't mention that. It's because I don't have it, okay? We want to go all the way back to the way the year started. Definitely one of the albums of the year for me, definitely, is Bowie's Black Star. This is still one, I like it, but I don't listen to it much because it's like you can't help but hear the fact that the man knows I'm dying and this is my last statement. I don't have to make a hit record. I don't have to make any concessions to anyone. I can make the music that I want to make that reflects where I'm at. That's what this does. Black Star is haunting. There's a lot of dark beauty here. Bowie, definitely one of the albums of the year. I want to mention this man because we just lost him. We've lost a lot of really wonderful people. And we just lost Alphonse Mouzon, this drummer whose albums, Alphonse Mouzon, as his visual style shows you, he was into being fly. And there's an aspect of some of his music that I always thought was a little bit on the jive side. I mean, like, that's a cool look, but I only aspired to look like that when I was a teenager and grew out of it quickly. This is not a diss. Has to do with how I perceived his music and how it didn't make the biggest impression on me. His drumming, however, was a very good drummer. But even that came through in the drumming, you know what I'm saying? Larry Coryell, Alphonse Mouzon and Larry Coryell with 11th House. This is where they were doing the Return to Forever fusion thing. And again, one of the highlights of the whole band is Alphonse Mouzon's drumming. I think he was 68. We just lost him. Lost a lot of folks. Somebody else that we lost this year, though I didn't get a chance to mention earlier this year, was Bobby Hutcherson, another jazz musician, vibraphonist. And here's one of his albums on Poco Loco. Just lost a lot of great people. Reminds me that if you see this, if this is up before I'm on the air and you see it, my radio show is today, Roots of Electric Jazz, 2 to 3. Starting next week, which is January, my show will go to 2 hours instead of just one. Today is the last 1 hour show. But I'm going to be playing a Stanley Cowell piece that features an amazing Bobby Hutcherson vibraphone solo. That'll be on the radio today. So I've mentioned one of my albums of the year. One of my albums of the year is definitely David Bowie's Black Star. Another album of the year, honestly, for me, is Radiohead's A Moon-Shaped Pool. Thank you. I think Prog Rock Tommy bought this for me. Thank you for allowing me to own a physical copy of this album. I just played it all the way through again last night. I started to play it and didn't know if I would listen to it, and it just swept me away. Tom York's voice is so lovely and touching that I only catch a little bit of what he's saying, but that's all I need because I get a lot through the emotion of his voice. And even if he isn't saying what I'm feeling, what he makes me feel is more important. This is a beautiful album. They have nothing to prove. There are no hit singles on here. They aren't playing games with any record companies. They're making the music that they love, and it really sounds like they're enjoying making this music. Johnny Greenwood has gotten into string arrangements for orchestras, and he puts that to good use here on the album. It's an intimate album to me. Really good. They don't have to play to anyone's expectations, and I like that a lot about this album. My continual criticism of, because I'm a musician, is that the drumming on here by Ed is just gets by. I wish they had the music with a better drummer would be something else. Any music that has great drumming, you notice the drumming, don't you? I want to mention two more albums for albums of the year. This year has been a mixed bag for me personally. You know, I've had a lot of fulfillment. I've also had a lot of challenges. I'm just glad to still be alive and doing what I enjoy the most, which is play music. Just really thankful. The other thing about all the people dying is that it just lets me know that my time, when my time comes, it comes. It could be soon, it could be later. Debbie Reynolds was a year younger than me. It reminds me to mention George Michael. I don't have a single George Michael and have never bought that music. That music, to me, is so mainstream commercial that I don't want to hear it. It's like I want to be away from that reality of that. It reminds me of being in Walmart. It just reminds me of a lot of things that I really don't identify with. What I'll say about George Michael, because I do respect him, is that he was massively talented. He could really sing. And I applaud him for being out when people didn't know he was out. It was really obvious. I mean, I think, to me, you know, I got some good gaydar, you know, because I tried to go that way. But it's like, wait, no, this isn't me. This is a part of me, but this isn't me. I'm not gay. It's a part of me. So I recognize that. But George Michael could command the stage. I mean, he had huge stage presence as well as a hell of a voice. That man could sing. He really could. I have on DVD the Queen thing that he did, Somebody to Love. I like that version better than Freddie Mercury's. Some people will say that's blasphemy, but even though I got a Queen album sitting right here, see, I got the music. I do know what I'm talking about, but I've never been a big Freddie Mercury fan. Some people think he can really sing, really like his voice. He can sing, but I never liked his voice. So George Michael's version of the song kicks my ass. I personally was really disheartened and shocked when he died that some people were actually heartless and immature enough to make jokes about his death in social media. That's the exact same thing about trolling. It's like these people are so unaware of their actions that they think they're making a funny or doing something clever, but they're so unaware that they don't realize as soon as the words come out of their mouths and onto the page, how stupid they sound and look, how immature and just really small-minded, to make fun of someone who has just died based on a caricature that you have in your mind from the media. What a pinhead. Yeah, that kind of behavior is not to be tolerated. That needs to be called out. That's not cool. It's not good. It's not mature. It's not adult. Yeah, really was upsetting when George died to see that some people actually started to try to make a joke about it. For those that are watching this and might be laughing and making jokes now, if you could just stop for a second and think about yourself dying. Do you want people laughing about your death? Can you go there? It's pretty simple. Empathy. Think about things a little bit, Helps change behavior. My other two albums, one of them is from Leonid Adler, I believe is how you say your name. I bet you're watching. This truly is one of my albums of the year, Blameful Isles. Strange, but not entirely unattractive. Thank you, Leonid, right here, for sending me a copy. And I was honored that they sent me one. In my opinion, we need more music like this. I need more music like this. Instrumental, coming from a bag that I love, which is tinged by Canterbury, European jazz rock, American jazz rock, a little bit of prog rock. But I've listened to this several times, and it's not that this album is brilliant technically or anything like that. It's about the essence of what they do with their music on this album that I think is so good. Blameful Isles is definitely one of my albums, definitely an album of the year for me. And my top album of the year, no one else is going to say this, and I mean this very sincerely. My album of the year is Rick Agnew, Learn. Look at that cover, because you're not going to look at it unless I show it to you. Look at this man, because no one else is going to be showing this to you. I'm not kidding. This album really deserves to be heard. If quote-unquote punk rock really still mattered, if it wasn't just a genre that's been supplanted, it's just been taken over like everything. It's been swallowed by the machine. If it really mattered, this album would be major, because Rick is like me. He's approaching 60. He's almost died several times and has survived it. He's still raging with life and purpose. And it's all on here. It's all on here. I moved the lamp and it doesn't make any difference, does it? With his main squeeze Gatain Demon on here. The songs are very topical. I I Can't Change the World, but Maybe We Can Do It Together is the lead track. You know, his I'm with him, you know, our desire for things to be better, and knowing that we are the ones who have the keys, the power to do it, that never dies. It's on here. But he also talks very, very bluntly and honestly about his downfalls and his struggles with drugs and alcohol, because he's been in the street, literally in the gutter, you know, and he's made it back. Very powerful. The other thing is that Rick Agnew has a very distinct, undeniable guitar sound that a lot of people don't realize. I will say it like this, that I think a lot of people don't realize that's where that guitar sound came from. Christian Death, a lot of punk rock from the West Coast, Adolescence DI, all that stuff, a lot of that guitar sound, it's Rick Agnew, it's right here. He shows it. This is really, really good. That's my album of the year, is Rick Agnew Learn. I'm going to go, folks. Next year's going to be a challenge. It always is, you know. Let's just make the best of it. There's enough sickness in the world. Why don't you bring some wellness? Why don't you, as an individual, do something along with me and others who are trying? Do something to make this world better. Step outside of your sick self, if you are, or if you're hurting, or whatever it is. You know, get a sense of objectivity and contribute.